All right, guys, welcome to Batter Box. Welcome to another live stream. My name is Mike. Thank you for joining me today. So, as you guys know, with what's trending on with the price of PMS, otherwise known as petrol, being 855 naira now, there's been a lot of reactions from many Nigerians. And the concern is just that with NNPC, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, especially the retail section. So that's the people that deal with the petrol stations. And the NNPC in general is a symbol of Nigeria's energy lifeline. So because Nigeria, practically what we are known for is producing oil. It's also number one source of our reserves. Basically, how Nigeria makes money is with oil. It's a symbol of Nigeria's energy lifeline. It's a symbol of basically the fortress of the giant of Africa. So NNPC is just like really symbolic and something that represents the strength of Nigeria. But unfortunately, NNPC is now in the control of a very select few. Very few people are controlling NNPC. I did a video earlier talking about the 30 men that control NNPC. It's on the channel. You're welcome to check that out. Actually, that was my last live. But today I wanted to look at just talking about how three people, in this case, three men, are practically dominating and controlling 220 million people. So you have these three guys. I'll be talking about them a little bit. And I want to just explain to you how these three men are controlling 220. So one of the three men is President Tinubu. President Tinubu is actually the Minister of Petroleum. This started during Buhari. The president allegedly supposed to be the Minister of Petroleum. By making the president Minister of Petroleum, the idea is that he can monitor and supervise whatever is going on to make sure that no stone is left untouched. And so that way, the president is directly involved and directly in charge with petroleum, which is again our number one export. We've abandoned other exports like cassava, cocoa, other agricultural means, but we've basically decided to, you might say, taton. We decided to taton for this petroleum, where like this is all we're going to do. And then we'll make Tinubu, in this case, President Tinubu, was with Buhari, the same thing. And the idea is that this president is supposed to be in charge of everything, that there's no stone that we left untouched. He's the one who is like managing and monitoring everything. So all the petrol stations, the retail stations, the retail assets, pretty much everything is going to be in the hands of the president. Okay, now check this out. There's a country called OVH Energy. Country, I mean, there's a company. There's a company called OVH Energy. This OVH Energy is run by one of the sons of the president. His name is Wale Tinubu. So Wale Tinubu is the one who is actually running OVH Energy. That's something we've known for a while. But the interesting thing is that in October 2022, just 5 months before the elections, again, by October 2022, Buhari was still in power. But in October 2022, 5 months before the elections, the NNPC retail, that's the retail arm of NNPC, controversially announced it had acquired OVH and all its filling stations. Again, remember, NNPC and the retail station and NNPC in general was under the control of Buhari. And Buhari was the president of Nigeria at the time, and was also the minister of petroleum. So then there's Tinubu is Emilokon, who's trying to be president back in October. His son runs AVH. So NNPC bought OVH. And then NNPC acquired all of the OVH's assets and also all of OVH filling station. Now, at the time, NNPC already had about 550 filling stations all across Nigeria. So 550. But then NNPC said, hey, it wanted to enhance its capacity, which makes sense. NNPC is big, 550 petrol stations, but it needs to increase the capacity. So he bought this small company called OVH. At the time, OVH had only 94 stations and 100 others were leased. It's possible to lease petrol stations. So OVH at the time had 94 stations under its name, and I was leasing 100. So NNPC had 550 at the time, and OVH had 194. Now, the funny thing is that when Wale Tinubu made this deal with Buhari 5 months before the election, the NNPC did not disclose this. They did not disclose the purchase price. NNPC did not tell us how much this was worth. They didn't even tell us the terms of the acquisition. It was just like a hush hush. So NNPC bought this Tinubu's again. Those people that said there's election and you voted, people don't know. They already know who's going to be winning, like 5 months before the election. So the OVH acquisition was done by Buhari, and they knew then that okay, any Ausha, Emilio is going to enter. So we are setting the stage. So just stay along with me here. Again, I'm talking about the three men that are controlling pretty much the 220 million Nigerians by means of this NNPC. Because again, all the foreign reserves, everything comes to NNPC. NNPC is Nigeria's cash cow, for lack of a better term, even though they failed and they've been losing a lot of money. But let's put that aside for now. There's one thing that Nigeria owns, and it's NNPC. And NNPC bought OVH in 2022, 5 months before the election. OVH is run by Wale Tinubu, as I mentioned a few times now. So when ownership of a key national asset as NNPC is concentrated within a few families, the balance of power basically goes away from the people. So you have an NPC, Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, owned by now bought OVH, regulated by the president. Basically, it's taking power from millions, the 220 million Nigerians I'm talking here. The balance of power is taken away from us. So back then, Atiku said, speaking on the ruling then, Atiku said that Atiku was against it. Many people were like, what's going on here? You know. So, however, now fast forward a little bit. So OVH that was previously owned by NNPC then bought NNPC. And then NNPC they privatized NNPCL, now they are called. So there's a story in the Bible that comes to mind for those of you that are religious, where I think it was Joseph that had a dream when Joseph was in jail and prison. And then Pharaoh had a dream. There's like 7 cows, and then there's 7 skinny cows, and then there's 7 fat cows. But what he realized was that the skinny cows was eating the fat cows. So that's what comes to mind here, whereby OVH that was bought and acquired by NNPC, OVH is now the one that is acquiring NNPC Retail, and OVH now owns NNPC Retail. So think about that. Like that's just is like a serious abracadabra. Like a company that was bought by NNPC, that company now went and bought NNPC Retail. So very, very mind twisting and defies economic logic, as Article put it. So basically, I mean, again, this is something that defies logic, and this absurd situation means that Wale Tinubu's Ondo now owns 49% of NNPC Retail, because Ondo is also kind of regulated or controlled or owned by Wale Tinubu, and in this acquisition, they own 49% of NNPC Retail. Many people were complaining about it. How can NNPC Retail be controlled be controlled by Wale Tinubu? That this is just an extent of corruption, and the government is favoring his family. When a transfer of ownership happened to Wale Tinubu and NNPCL was taken over by him, there was no watchdog institutions. There's nobody that cried foul. The legislation, the Senate and the House of Assembly, those guys making 21-30 million every month. Those guys, they didn't care about it. The ruling class just was like, whatever, it can go ahead. Like joke. Tinubu now nearly owns about half of NNPC. That's our own Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. He's basically in control of the upstream and downstream and every form of pretty much the upstream, downstream, midstream. It's just within his first year in his office. So this monopoly is kind of serious, because the president should not have his son be in charge of NNPCL. NNPCL belongs to the people of Nigeria, right? NNPC Retail. But again, if you recall, NNPC first acquired OHV, then later on OHV is acquiring NNPC Retail. So that's something that most people, they didn't really they didn't say anything about. Some people came out on Twitter, obviously. They were saying that this is how Tinubu captured Lagos. Because remember, Tinubu said he built Lagos, but he was basically running on Obasanjo's plan for Lagos. And he's basically trying to take over what belongs to the people of Nigeria. Um, but I mean, people are still complaining. This is how I built Lagos, and nobody can say anything about it. So without rambling too much, I think what I'm trying to say is that you have this man who is the president of Nigeria taking over the national assets, right, by virtue of his son, and the real cost is borne by every Nigerian who has to queue in line and who has to struggle to get petrol. Again, they talk about somebody privatizing the national asset that belongs to the whole country. So this is one of the situations whereby you have one man as an NNPC hands over all retail assets, a petrol station to OHV Energy, which is run by Wale Tinubu. There was no transparency because NNPC did not disclose this. This was behind closed doors. Normally, the Senate is also set up a committee, but they're supposed to probe it and say, what's going on here, but people just don't care about the future of Nigeria or who owns the transparency. Or people don't care about the future of Nigeria. They don't care about accountability. There's no transparency. And the watchdogs, the Senate themselves and the House of Assembly, they are basically there, like, supporting Tinubu, and whatever he wants, they let him have it. So that's kind of the first side of this story, how Tinubu basically essentially has taken over an NPCL, even though he was already the minister of Petroleum. Now, the second man is, in question. Again, I talk about the three wise men. There's Bola Tinubu, obviously. Then there's Dangote. Now, Dangote is someone who has basically run his entire career on monopoly. He enters an industry and he chases everybody away. In other civilized world, or in other civilized worlds or countries, what will happen is that there's an anti-monopoly federal government agency that will step in. Whenever one person is getting too powerful, they will step in and say, guy, no be your power get Nigeria, or no be your power get this industry, that he needs to share. And they will just try and break up the monopoly. This is what the government is supposed to be doing, except in Nigeria where, government empowers monopoly. So talk about salt. Dangote is like taking over the salt industry. Talk about rice. He's taking over rice. Talk about fish. Dangote has Dangote fisheries. It's part of his business. Pasta. Dangote cement. We all know about that. Oh, did I even mention Dangote fertilizer? Then there's also Dangote flour mills. So what you see is Dangote anywhere he steps into, he basically drives everybody out and he takes over. So what he did, what he was trying to do, was to take over NNPC and buy the refineries. So Obasanjo, the great Obasanjo, who now has become born again and is like preaching and saying people should be allowed to protest, because obviously he and Tinubu they have a fight, whatever. That's a different story. How Tinubu wanted to create more local government to steal money in Lagos. Obasanjo was against that, but different story. So Obasanjo then, at the time, approved the refineries to be sold to Dangote. So Obasanjo then, this Obasanjo now that has become born again, approved Dangote, this same monopolist warrior, who today they are claiming is entrepreneurial spirit. And that's one thing that annoyed me. I digress a little bit about, if you look at all these news outlets, in the last 2 days, oh my God, Dangote is the best thing since sliced bread. Dangote is a good man. Dangote is this. Dangote is entrepreneurial spirit. That's the most annoying part. This Dangote wanted to carry his monopoly and continue it to go and meet what do you call it? To go and meet Obasanjo so they can sell our refineries. So Obasanjo actually approved the refineries we sold to Dangote. The genius of the Nigeria is so entrepreneurial. God bless the spirit of entrepreneurial. Investors can come. This Dangote was approved by Obasanjo for the refineries until Yar'Adua came. Yar'Adua of blessed memory. Yar'Adua came and said, how can one man carry refinery for Nigeria? So my people, now so Yar'Adua scatter everything. Yar'Adua just said, this is not happening. That you are not making sense. One man, how can one man be controlling all the how can one man be controlling all the oil resources for Nigeria? So Yar'Adua scattered everything. So as Yar'Adua scattered everything, Dangote now could no longer continue with his plan to buy a national asset. Our refinery is in Kaduna, Port Harcourt, and Warri. So he now has to start building his own refinery. So he got money from investors and many people. And at the end of the day, Dangote finally, according to Buhari, that this refinery should have been built 3 years ago. This refinery that they are celebrating and jubilating. Again, you have 220 million Nigerians that are being fooled by just these three wise men. And one of them is Tinubu. I spoke about Tinubu earlier. Now you have Dangote, who is also fooling millions of Nigerians, saying that he has his refinery and is the way forward for Nigeria. So ask me, how come 2 days before the announcement of the refinery, or as soon as they announced, the price of petrol went up? The price of petrol went up because NNPCL, or as they call them now, they are the only ones that can buy from Dangote refinery. So nobody else can buy from Dangote refinery. Only NNPCL can buy from Dangote. And they've already done backroom deals. That, okay, this is how much we are going to sell. So the price of petroleum has increased by 45%. As soon as Dangote is the genius of entrepreneurship, and this Dangote is very smart, he's one that will change and make sure oil is available for Nigeria, blah 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 blah, and he's an entrepreneur. This Dangote is the same man, that again has ruined or monopolized, might be a better word, has monopolized many sectors, and now he's trying to monopolize petrol. And he has actually essentially monopolized petrol. He's monopolized petrol. So how is it that Dangote now, who has monopoly over petrol, and as soon as they announce, NNPCL decide to increase the price of petrol to 855 naira. So that's kind of why I say they are fooling a lot of us, because this is a form of mental slavery. How we Nigerians, we've decided to intentionally put ourselves in slavery because we refuse to think, and we cannot see, like in daylight, how this is happening. People's mind needs to be liberated. And that's what annoys me with all these media people, because we look at all the media, they're like, oh, Dangote this, Dangote that, Dangote get that, and most of them anyway, they have a salary, they are collecting salary from the news channel, and they have a producer, they have a director, they are giving scripts to read, but those scripts don't even make sense, because entrepreneurship is open to everybody. Everybody plays in the entrepreneur game. You do not have the phone number of Buhari, of Tinubu in your speed dial. So when the big boys at NNPC were like, you're not going to play, you ran to Tinubu and said, Tinubu, you need to help me. So it's just a few people playing among themselves and distributing the wealth. And for many people to come and celebrate this and say, oh, this is a good thing, even though the price of petrol has increased to 855 naira. Now remember, during Jonathan, I think price increased to like, was it, or even during Buhari, no, actually it was during Jonathan. People came out and protested, and Jonathan had to reverse it. So, but Tinubu came, increased the price of petrol. Nobody said anything. He removed subsidy. Nobody said anything. Increased the price. Like everybody's just like, oh wow, thank God. Now things are going to be okay. And also, why is it that NNPCL is the only one? Why are they not allowing other people to participate in the low stream or distribution? So right now, as we speak, NNPCL is the only company that can buy from Dangote refinery. Now, if you look at diesel has been deregulated, I guess. Anybody can just go and buy diesel, technically. The same thing for aviation fuel. Anybody can buy aviation fuel. But when it comes to diesel, this PMS, the petrol now, the only person that can buy is NNPCL, which, by the way, is owned by OVH, which, by the way, is owned by Wale Tinubu. So you see all the mathematics that they are playing in front of everybody, and nobody's really paying attention. But people are just like celebrating and say, oh, wow, this is a good thing. Because again, what they are trying to do is to sell crude oil to Dangote. And then Dangote, again, that Dangote refinery, by the way, did I mention that 20% stake is supposed to be owned by NNPC? So basically, Dangote refinery, in a way, even NNPC we do, I don't think they have 20% anymore. But Dangote, but basically, Wale Tinubu and Tinubu himself has a share in Dangote refinery, because by virtue of his company, OVH, being owned by NNPCL, who is the only person that can buy from Dangote refinery. So you see all the mathematics they are doing. They are just kind of moving tables. It's a table of musical chair. The third person I want to talk about is Malik Kyari, and that's the NNPC GM CEO, whatever he calls himself. This guy has lied over and over and over and over. He's a complete failure, a complete disaster. He should just be retired like as soon as possible because all his policies had failed. Even during Buhari's time, was failing. There's a video we did on this channel whereby I was promising, like in 2022 or so, that line queues will not be a problem. There will be plenty oil. I mean, there will be plenty petrol. It's not going to be an issue. In fact, he said Nigeria will start exporting. So when you're interviewing for a job and you tell them you are going to do XYZ, and at the end of the day, you cannot do what you say you do, I think that's also sack you or resign you or retire you or let you step down. Malek was saying things like thunderstorm, it was rainfall, bad roads, logistics that was causing the delay. Then they came out again, another assault on the Nigerian people to say that NNPC made 3.23 trillion profit. 3.23 trillion profit. So imagine you are the MD of a company. You come and you say your company is profiting. And you made 3.23 trillion. In Naira, by the way, petroleum is sold in dollars everywhere in the world. Everywhere in the world, petrol is US dollar. It's only in Nigeria that they come and say petrol is in Naira, you made profit in Naira. I mean, beyond that, I convert this to dollar now because they do. They realize that because right now I'm speaking, the dollar is 1,006 to 1 Naira. Again, part of Tinubu's failed policies to float the Naira. That's a different story. But if you do the math, you realize the NNPC is at a loss. And I said this back then. The NNPC is running at a loss. It is running at a loss. But again, a few weeks later, they came back and said, "Oh no, we are in debt. We are owing 6 billion or 6.8 billion or whatever dollars." So why didn't they put that in Naira back? So as in our moment, like Nigeria, people don't even think at all. It's very, very sad how people don't think. I think it's because the leadership is suppressing the people, and just the political system is so toxic. Even as an independent Nigerian, you should be reasoning that why is it that they're announcing profit in trillion Naira, but then when they say loss, they do it in $billion. So they came out a few weeks later and say, recently, I think last week or so, that they're in debt $6.8 billion, $6 billion. At that point, too, that's Malik, the third guy, or the third, what do you call it? The three wise men. The third man should have been fired on the spot. You do not go and tell shareholders that you are making profits of 3.23 trillion. All of a sudden, you turn around and say, "Oh yeah, we are making a loss." So I think NNPC is just kind of another scam. The whole NNPCL and with Wale Tinubu and OVH, whatever the hell they call themselves, they are all scammers and they are scamming the Nigerian people every day. So it's an assault for all these media heads to come and be saying, "Oh, it's an entrepreneur." Do you know what entrepreneurship is? There are over 20 million Nigerians that are struggling. They can't even get loan from the government. They can't get loan. There's no small business assistance. They don't have Tinubu's phone number in their pocket for them to run to when there's a problem. There are many, many millions of Nigerians that are struggling and hustling. You cannot tell me a man that has basically lived all his career in monopoly and crushing the competition and being the only man in that industry, as he has done, unfortunately, to our oil and gas now. You cannot tell me now that that man, oh, he's an entrepreneur spirit, blah, blah, blah. And for Mike Kyari, I think I think there's protest in Abuja that he needs to resign already. People are already complaining that this guy is not good for NNPC. And again, NNPC has handed off all retail assets, all the petrol stations to OVH. And OVH, like I said earlier, is run by Wale Tinubu. So if you look at any business, for example, when you decree and you kind of lie something, you say something, for example, they say they're removing subsidy. That's a lie. Like, you don't lie to the people that elected you, or some people don't think it was elected anyway. You don't lie to them and say removing subsidy. So now they've changed the name of subsidy. You know, they don't even call it subsidy anymore. Right now, I think they are calling it, what are they even calling it? They are calling it shortfalls. So you come on day one in your inaugural speech, you see, you are going to remove subsidy. Subsidy means that when you are buying oil for 1,117 naira, 117 naira, and you're selling it by 600 for 600, 650, that means it's like 50%. It's a discount, a subsidy. So for you to come and tell us that there's no subsidy, then they call it shortfall, they call it under recovery, like just like in daylight, like they are really lying to people. And millions of Nigerians are in queue. They are suffering, cannot buy petrol for the generator, cannot buy petrol to travel. The cost of everything is expensive. Of course, everything is tied to petrol. And you have NNPC Kyari and NNPC lying every day to people. I mean, why isn't him be let go? Like, what's the big deal? Like, somebody else might be able to, because in every business, there's the revenue arm, there's the expense, and there's investment. The revenue is way, way below. I think in Saudi Aramco, they make like $30 billion, however much. Don't quote me on that. They made a lot of money in terms of profit just last quarter. So how's NNPC running, or NNPC? Like, how are they running at a loss? At a loss. Under even you, the Minister of Petroleum, who is allegedly president of Nigeria. So why are you Minister of Petroleum if you are not able to do a good job? So NNPC again is a monopoly, is affecting our foreign reserve. And if you look at the whole mathematics that I've described and the whole musical chair, how they started with OVH being bought by NNPC 5 months before the 2023 election. Then later on, NNPC was now acquired by NNPC Retail, NNPCL was now acquired by OVH, which 49% is owned by Wale Tinubu. And then Dangote's refinery, about 20% of them is supposed to be owned by NNPC. Is also owned by NNPC, which again is owned by Wale Tinubu. So it's like these guys, like they are boboing us. It's just like a stupid whole, like one man or a few people trying to take over a national resource, and there's no way doing about it. The Senate should be ashamed of themselves. The House of Representatives should be ashamed of themselves, because they are not doing their jobs. They are just like a bunch of thugs and thieves, all of them. And I know some people might not be educated. Like Dangote is doing a good thing. He's doing a good thing. Where did Dangote make all his money, if not from Nigeria? Where did Dangote make all his money? If not from partnering with governments and presidents and people, so they can get all this money. So you get all the money. After I can't get all the money, where else do you want to invest the money? If not, I will continue to monopolize. And then you are going to tell me that a Port Harcourt refinery or Warri refinery is going to be alive in a few months. Like, come on, guys, this doesn't make sense. So there are a few questions. Let me just go ahead and jump on that. So evolving out loud. Thank you. Tinubu relative and crude oil. Yes, I mean, it's just power and control. And that's the same thing it did in Lagos State. Evolving, you're from Shreveport, Louisiana. If you're still here, shout out to you. He would import gas. He would rather import gas than get it from a fellow brother. Yes, there are some claims that some of them have their own gas stations and their own refineries outside anyway. But again, I mean, it's just them taking over the Nigerian system. They don't even try to hide it. Thank you. Like in America, yes. In America, at least you can hide stuff. But in a place like Nigeria, I mean, what are you going to do? Like, what are you going? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Now, the protesters for the end bad governments, they have been taken to judge. They have been taken to court on that treasonous activities. So you go out, you protest, and police catch you, say it's treason. Treason is basically like sedition against the state. So if they carry 10 people and they say those type where they carry, they are treasonous, that means they are making examples that don't protest. Even though Tinubu himself was from Nadeco back in the day and he believed in protesting. And then the judicial system is all so complacent. So these 10 guys that they arraigned, they postponed their hearing, they push it out, and they refuse them bail. So the judicial system is in on this, and it's just really, really weird and not nice. We have our own Dr. Ayodele here. Naso Brahma. Yeah, Naso. Anytime, bro. You're welcome to come and share your opinions. But thank you for joining us. Always follow the money, and you never be fooled. Yeah, thank you so much. So evolving out loud, follow the money, and that's what I'm trying to do with this segment here. Follow the money. So again, like I said, for those that are just joining us, we are talking about the three wise men that are controlling Nigerian #1 premium resources. These are three wise men, and that is Dangote, who again is acclaimed by almost every news station in Nigeria that you listen to, or any TV station. And it's just my stomach is turning. They are saying Dangote is like entrepreneurial spirit. He would rather invest in Nigeria. He didn't want to invest in Tahiti. There was somebody I was watching that said he don't want to invest in Tahiti and buy a private island. Blah blah blah. If you have a lane of monopoly and you have Tinubu's number, and you have Tinubu's number in your phone, when there's any issue, you cry foul. And they say invested all investment, believe in Nigeria so much. Of course, who else should he believe in? Where else can he pull this off if not Nigeria? Nobody in Nigeria if he do this. So follow the money. Then OVH, which again is owned by 49%, the report is owned by Wale Tinubu. Then the NNPC acquires. That's like some serious gangster shit, man. Like, excuse my French. Then OVH is acquired by NNPC before the election during Buhari's time. During Buhari's time, by the way, as if they knew Tinubu would win 5 months before. Then after OVH acquires NNPC, then later on, after NNPC acquires OVH now buys NNPC back. Wow, that's like some serious move. Then NNPC has 20% in Dangote refinery, or they will anyway. And now only NNPCL can buy from Dangote, unlike other sector. Why don't they open it to the public? After all, he's an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur is free market. And you have some of these guys coming and saying, "Oh, I believe in capitalism. Capitalism works in Nigeria." I'm like, oh my God, man. Like, these guys, like, I don't know, like, they say something about Nigerians. Nigerians are people that when you push the wall, when you push them to the wall, they will start digging at the end of the wall. Instead of them pushing back, they will now they will start digging the wall to enter the wall. Meanwhile, ordinary men will carry weapon to defend. Yes, so my brother Juju, thank you so much. Meanwhile, ordinary man will carry weapon to defend these rich men. Yes, all these policemen. In fact, some of them were striking now. They said they are not paid enough, and that's why I said earlier. I did a video about the Nigerian police, and you see these guys that are protecting rich men, and most of them they are hungry. I was talking about checkpoints. The policemen they are hungry. The only way they can make money or make their salary to pay for their rent is by going on the streets. And when they go to the streets, they exploit people. I did a video on that, and I shared my personal narrative, I think yesterday, how police and there are police checkpoints everywhere. Police checkpoint, they make money from people. It's a form of taxation. It's an unwritten taxation rule, which police can just stop you. They are not stopping because your headlight is bad, though, or because you don't have your papers. It's just a way to harass you and get money from you, because that's how they have to make their ends meet. No accountability. These guys are not even ashamed. They have POS. Dr. Ayodele. Now what we go do now? Well, I mean, that's a different story, I guess, and there's a lot of question that we need to answer about that. A serious quiz well overdue for Nigerian president. Well, during the last election, during the last protest, they were saying they want to overthrow the government, and there's some people from outside are the one influencing it. Excuse me. They also made comments like not just people from outside, but the opposition. But Nigerians are hungry, Nigerians are tired, and this is something they've been doing since the military era. If you remember, Nigeria had a few military coups, and during then, if there's any protest, they want to oust the government, This is a democracy, and the military has come out and say we're not having coup. So again, I'm not saying any coup. I don't support that, obviously, and I don't at all. But I think that this situation needs to be understood by people, because we can understand, and that's the point of what we're doing here, to educate people. We'll do all the research and we'll educate you. Dangote is a sellout. Yes, he has been a sellout, and all these rich men, most of these rich men that are enjoying from the coffers of the government, most of them are sellouts. Unfortunately, a lot of them are sellouts. So I think so true, bro. Dig them. Yes, na them sabi. Thank you so much, Nadem Sabi. So I think that's all. It's just we want to empower people and let people have information, so that when the media, I don't know if you want to call them fake news, all these other media that are celebrating the achievement of Dangote, and now the Nigerian government try to frustrate him, blah blah blah. Dangote's mates, a lot of them have bought crude oil outside. They have oil blocks. Many of them, they are stealing Nigerian oil. They have refineries, and are the ones that will fight him in the end. Anyway, there was an interview he gave that was saying the oil cartel is greater than the drug cartel. What it means, there's a code that my peers, people that we have a Tinubu's phone number, and we have connection. All of us, they are trying to fight me doing investment in Nigeria. So he invested in Nigeria allegedly, but the Nigerian government gave him power, and all this connection and all this maneuver by NNPC and OVH is something that's that is very painful. And you as a Nigerian, you should know this. You should know that Tinubu that you have in power is your president, who's supposed to be looking out for you. And also, his son now owns OVH, that owns part of NNPC Retail. NNPC Retail, as I said earlier, owns 250 petrol stations, plus OVH is 194, plus the 100 lease. So you have about a total of, say, 700 petrol stations all across the country that is now controlled by technically by Tinubu's son, and he's getting petrol directly from Dangote. And you have Mela Kyari there who is lying and saying Tinubu is making money. Tinubu is not making money. They remove subsidy. They did not remove subsidy. So it's very, very sad. Nigerians living in the country need the orientation around the rights and duties of citizens of the country. Yes, I agree with you, Dr. Adel, because most Nigerians, there's also all of Nigeria in Nigeria, and there's also a test, like citizenship test, because that citizenship test will just test what you need to know your rights. You don't know your rights. If you know your rights, even you, I don't want to mention names of TV stations, but many people are coming and applauding. Even guys that they are calling experts, they will say this guy is an expert, and these experts are saying this capitalism at work. How is this capitalism that they had one man that is backed by NNPC, that is backed by the Minister of Petroleum, that owns OVH, or the son owns OVH, and then you are telling me that is a capitalist? You don't know what capitalism is. You don't know what entrepreneur is. Entrepreneur is the woman that is selling stuff on the road and is not sure about tomorrow. There's uncertainty. Right now, what you have is a guarantee. If you have a guarantee, how is that entrepreneur? How is that entrepreneurship when there are no risks? What are the risks involved? And you Nigerians, or we Nigerians, I should say, what's the guarantee that our refinery in Port Harcourt to start working? Because again, Malik Kyari, the third wise man, Malik Kyari, the third wise man, is somebody who is also there, also doing the work. He's doing their bidding. So you have these three men that are really controlling the only asset that Nigeria has, which is petrol. Like that's the only thing we have. We've abandoned agriculture, we've abandoned technology, we've abandoned every sector. The only thing that we have now, the Minister of Petroleum, who is coincidentally the president of Nigeria, along with NNPCL, which is now owned by his son, along with his friend Dangote in Dangote Refinery, for which NNPCL, which is owned by Tinubu and his son, own 20%. So where's the Nigeria? Like, how about those that the Ogoni people and the people in Warri, that their homes and their lands are being polluted? How about people that are dying? How about people that are dying from flaring and their homes are being destroyed? You know, people in the community of Kensarua. Where are those people in this picture? So it's just opening your head and seeing that there's some of like people that really owns the resources, like because of this federation wahoo when they do, the power just goes to some people, and you have the people in power, the House of Representatives and the Senate, they didn't do anything at all. Dangote doesn't care about Nigerian people. He's an opportunist, just like the West. Thank you very much. Good one, evolving out loud. I met someone who was telling me that if you want to be successful, you need to go to Nigeria because there are no regulations in Nigeria. And that thing has stuck with me. Like, what do you mean there are no regulations in Nigeria? There are no regulations means there are a lot of opportunities, which goes to your point, which means the government doesn't look away, or you can buy the government. And that's what we have here with the case of Dangote. Thank you so much, Olorisha Creole 544. Okay, Baba. I got that one. Olorisha Creole. Yes, thank you so much. You are calling from the US. Salute back to you. So that's what we have, guys. Thank you so much for being here today. We're going to be streaming live as often as we can. So please check out the channel. If you don't subscribe, please subscribe. Until next time, please like this video if you haven't, and help us to share this video. Just share it around. Put it on social media platform. Let people hear this word, and let's just educate our people. I think it was Dr. Adele that was asking, saying, "What are we going to do?" The only thing we have is education. Educate our people, let them know, because with knowledge you have power. We can't really talk about INEC because INEC is not in the interest of Nigeria anymore. INEC is, otherwise the chair of INEC should have been gone. You have people that are incompetent, absolutely incompetent. If they were in their day job, all of them will be sacked. But it's just a bunch of cronies and people that know stuff, and they circulate the music culture around themselves. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Catch us next on our next live. And we'll see you next time. Thank you so much, guys, and have a good day. Bye.